Hey everyone, this is Bob here in the Nerve Center at the Wirefly campus, and today we are going to do a Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown between two interesting phones. On the left we have the Motorola Droid R2-D2, and on the right we have the new HTC EVO Shift, which runs on the Sprint network. Of course, the Droid R2-D2 is on Verizon, so we've got Verizon versus Sprint, the Droid versus the EVO Shift. Now this is the Droid R2-D2. This is a Star Wars version of the Droid 2. It is essentially a Droid 2, and it's been given some Star Wars graphics and cosmetics and some interesting graphics. As you can see, it's got a space graphic here where you're going through the asteroids, so that's all pretty cool, especially if you're into Star Wars kind of stuff. But the phone itself has got some great features, as does the HTC EVO Shift. And so let's get on with the Schmackdown. First of all, these, of course, run on two different networks. One's on Verizon, one is on Sprint. The EVO Shift runs on Sprint's WiMAX 4G network. The Droid R2-D2 is on Verizon's 3G network. So it depends on where you are as to whether or not you can get Sprint's 4G service. But if you are in an area that gets Sprint's 4G, you will get some pretty honking speeds, download internet speeds, on the EVO Shift. Now, the Verizon network has excellent speeds for 3G. You can easily get up to 2 megabits per second and even higher. I've personally seen 2.2 megabits, which is an excellent download speed on Verizon, but I've also seen speeds in the 10 megahertz megabit range with Sprint's WiMAX. So if you're in a WiMAX, a 4G Sprint region, you can get a much faster internet service than you can with the R2-D2 Droid here. Both of these phones are sliding keyboard phones. And take a look at them. They both have very nice keyboards. The keys are dark with nice white letters, easy to see. The EVO Shift has a little novel feature down here. There is a little joystick, not a joystick, but a little trackpad sort of control that allows you to step around on a screen. That's this down here. So that works very well, and that seems to take the place of these cursor keys that are down here on the R2-D2. So they both have a similar function, but they have it kind of implemented in different ways. They both have good keyboards. They're both about the same size and weight. Take a look at that. That's the thickness of these two phones. Because they have sliding keyboards, they are relatively thick. I would say that the EVO Shift might be just a tiny bit thicker, but it's a little hard to say. If I put one on top of the other, the EVO Shift is just a little bit less wide than the Droid R2-D2. Another way of saying it is the Droid R2-D2 is slightly wider than the EVO Shift. Taking a look at them, it might look like the screens are exactly the same size, but they are slightly different, and that might be why this screen is a little, or the phone is a little more narrow. On the Droid R2-D2, this is a 3.7-inch diagonal screen, and on the HTC EVO Shift, it's a 3.6. So you've got 3.7 versus 3.6. Now here's a big difference in terms of resolution. This is a 480 by 854 resolution screen here on the Droid R2-D2. On the HTC EVO Shift, it is 480 by 800. Now, you've got 854 in the vertical dimension on the Droid. That doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, it makes for a noticeably more pleasing screen on the Droid R2-D2, which again, by the way, is the same as a Droid 2. So if you can still get your hands on a Droid 2, you'll get this the same features and functions as the Droid R2-D2. Now, if you take a look at this, you've got some cool Star Wars graphics on this. You do have a 5 megapixel camera with a dual LED flash. On the HTC EVO Shift, you also have a 5 megapixel camera with a single LED flash. They both can do HD video, so 720p video. They're both pretty good in that regard. Okay, so that is a preliminary look at what we have. Of course, many of you have seen the user interface, the HTC's Sense user interface on the EVO. and many of you have seen the Moto Blur interface that Motorola comes with. Now, they're not calling it Moto Blur on this phone, but there are definitely some blur-like features to the user interface. They still make it easy for you to get to Facebook, to get to your email, and so forth. You can do that on both phones. So they both have their own versions of a manufacturer's user interface. I hesitate to say which one is better than the other. They both do a very good job at that. The next thing I'd like to do is to run a quadrant test on these two phones so that we can see what their individual speeds are. So I've got Quadrant loaded. I downloaded it from the Android market. It's a very easy thing to download. And I'm going to go ahead and touch it, and we're going to run the Quadrant speed test. I'm going to come back once the test is done, so we'll get the results and we won't have to wait through all of the various tests. Here we go. All right, the EVO Shift is about ready to wrap up its quadrant test. I'm going to wait until the Droid R2-D2 from Motorola catches up. So here it's on the last step of the 3D graphics tests, and it'll be ready to go. So yes, I do want to do the benchmarking, and we'll see what we get. Okay, a little hard to see here, but on the EVO, we got 1,552 for the quadrant score. That's on the EVO Shift. And on the Motorola Droid R2-D2, we got 1,435. Those are both really, really good scores. However, it looks like the EVO Shift came out ahead in the quadrant speed test. Really good, though. I'm very impressed by both of those scores. These are both very fast, both very fluid phones. I like the higher resolution screen that's on the Droid R2-D2. I'm plus or minus on the Star Warsian graphics, but it's the same as the Droid 2. If you can pick up a Droid 2 somewhere, you've got the same phone without the Star Wars graphics, but the Star Wars stuff is pretty cool. And this phone, the Droid R2-D2, comes with a docking station that allows you to more easily dock the phone when you get home, and there's some cool Star Wars-like alarm clock features and so forth that it has. I do really like also the HTC EVO Shift. I like the fact that it's 4G. I like the fact that both of these phones can work as a Wi-Fi hub, a Wi-Fi hotspot. Both of these phones can do tethering. However, the Motorola Droid R2-D2 has 8 gig of RAM built in. This is for storing your music and your photos and your videos. It's got 8 gig built in, while the EVO Shift has only 1 gig built in. The Droid comes with an 8 gig micro SD card, while the EVO Shift comes with a 2 gig micro SD card. That means this has a total of 3 gig of available storage for your files, your music, your videos, your photos. This has 16 gigs, so it's got a lot more. So the Droid R2-D2 comes out on top in that. So if you need more memory, the Droid R2-D2 comes out of the box with more memory. Slightly bigger screen with definitely higher resolution. If you want higher internet speeds, the EVO Shift is your guy. It's got the same 4G speeds that the original EVO 4G could get. So that wraps up this Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown on comparing the Motorola Droid R2-D2 with the HTC EVO Shift. Hey, I am Bob here at Wirefly. Thanks for watching.